So we are the AV SuperFriends, and this is our 5-year forecast. We're going to tell you all the fun stuff you need to know about in the next 5 years. Quick introductions: Larry Darling, Justin Rexing, and his knee. My name's Chris Jechter, Mark Kolozinski, Jamie Reinhardt, who's heckling from the front row. We've got this all split up, so we'll all each be kind of talking about parts of this. We'll go from there. I'm going to use a clicker, even though the computer's right here, but because I'm cool.
We expect interactivity.
Hold on. Hold it. Stop stealing thunder.
There's notes, man.
Now the clickerizer isn't clickerizing.
No, that's the problem.
This whole thing is falling apart.
Next.
You have the slide for us, Lee?
Slide advanced.
Next slide. We'll play this game. Yes, broken.
In the future, hopefully laptops.
Oh, it's lined up.
Ah.
Boom, got it. All right, are we back? No, yep, yes, I got it. Aha, technology.
This is a Microsoft product.
All right, so a couple of ground rules before we get into our 5-year forecast. First of all, these aren't things that you're going to go throw all your current stuff away and start using this stuff. Again, think in 5 years. So think 5 years ago, what nonsense were we doing, and 5 years, what we're doing now. The point being that 5 years from now, you're going to be thinking and talking about these things on the regular. These will be part of your day-to-day conversations, things that you're going to be aware of and things that you're going to be considering. We're not saying you're going to go throw away everything and buy all this new stuff. And finally, the most important point, the goal of this session is to get you all involved. We want this to be an interactive conversation with the room. To that point, Larry has a catch box.
With cash.
And he has MetBucks in the top of the catch box. So if you comment, feel free to take some MetBucks as you make your comment. Now, if you make a terrible, terrible, terrible comment, we will require you to give the MetBucks back.
Yes.
But,
And then after
a
you
credit
comment, throw
debit
it back
situation.
so we can
Yes.
reload.
and we do need the catch box, when it gets emptied, we'll have to reload the catch box, but we want this to be interactive. So consider this session to be a conversation. We're going to bring up things. We would like you to say, as we're halfway through our comment, for you to raise your hand and say, I disagree, or I'm doing that now. Why is it 5 years in the future? So this is a conversation, so keep that in mind. All right. That said, I'm going to turn this over to Justin, who has a very, very detailed slide. I'm going to apologize for the size of the text on the next one. You might need to lean in. There are some schematics on here which are difficult to read. Justin, go.
Switches get stitches. All right, so what do we mean by this? So we've been all talking about this Dante stuff. AV over IP is everywhere. AV is on the network everywhere. And then we have these network manufacturers that like to create easy buttons for us to make our jobs easier. You click settings, you apply profile, and everything just magically works until it doesn't. And then what do? Well, do you just reset everything and unplug it and plug it back in? Or what happens when you set these little island networks up and they work, and you do that going forward through your projects, and all of a sudden you get to something very complex that needs different layer 3 routing, different types of configurations on the network switch. So our point to this, or maybe just my point, because I know this is very controversial to a lot of people standing up here, is that in AV, we all have our skill sets, right? Design, program, installers, those type of things. We all get into the industry. We all want to advance our careers a little bit and do less manual labor. So we all have to, retool our skill set. So why is it so difficult for us to learn networking? We're not stupid. We learned programming. We learned installation. We learned design. We learned configuration. We learned gain structure. Why can't we learn networks on our own?
Because we don't own the network.
But what if you do?
Wait your turn.
I'm just saying.
So every situation's different. I understand not everybody owns a network. I understand you might be under the overlords of IT that are configuring the switches in the closet that you can't touch. But there's going to be a day, if you're configuring AV over IP and switches you're deploying, I guarantee you sometime in your life later on, you're going to have to deploy something a little bit more advanced, because none of this stuff is leaving the network. It's only going to get more complicated and probably harder as we introduce more standards that, the next 12 standards are to come out for the AV industry. So,
By show of hands, in AV, how many of you all actually configure your own switches if you are doing it? A few.
Not very many.
Not very
Todd,
many.
obviously.
Okay. Todd does, yeah. So,
I'm not admitting I'm an AV.
See?
well, do you have somebody in your organization that is doing this for you?
Yep. So what happens when there's a problem? It's like, well, it's not my problem, it's their problem. It's their problem, it's not my problem. Is there an ownership problem of that problem? Sometimes, maybe not. Depends on that working relationship. Maybe it's working great right now, and then somebody quits, and that next person, it could be a problem. There's going to be a point in your life, if you're dealing with networking in AV, you're going to come across something, you're going to be like, man, that Justin guy was kind of right, like 10 years ago. I do have to know something about networking. I can't just click the easy button and make it work all the time.
I think your note you have here, Justin, you'll have to be a better network admin than your
I think that was
network admin.
Chris's note, but it's a good note. What was that? What did that say? You're going to have to be
become
a
a better
better
network
network
admin.
administrator than your network administrators.
You at least have to learn the language.
There's
to have that
understanding,
conversation.
and then there's knowing. I think a lot of us know about networks and how they work, but then there's understanding of what a network is and how it actually works. And when something goes wrong, I can jump in the configuration and solve it myself and not wait on IT or somebody else to fix it. I'm retooling myself. I'm making myself more valuable, maybe for your next job.
You are IT.
We might be more IT than IT at
Why
this
wait?
point. So yeah, question, comment.
Throw that box.
Oh, somebody wants some
Get
money.
that box
Wait,
out there.
who raised their hand?
Oh, jeez.
Underhand, Larry, underhand. You got to get more height on that.
Yeah.
As much as you want.
At least you didn't aim for the face.
Yeah, I know. You like.
So how about switching this around? Oh,
Hold it. Yeah,
how about
there
switching this around?
Switching it
Like
around,
placement.
switching the switches.
No. So part of the challenge that I've had, and we'll talk hypothetical here because I don't know if anybody in the room knows me. If your IT people are unfamiliar with the amount of bandwidth, high definition video, or 4K or 6K or whatever K video takes, uncompressed, then you run into this problem of being able to explain to them the traffic load that you've had so far is nothing compared to what it will be, especially in a multi-user environment where a lot of students are doing simultaneous projects.
Or multicast that they don't play with as much as we do.
Or whatever, yeah.
I think y'all are proving my point.
Oh, well, see, the problem
don't-
is, I could go in, if I touch their gear, I get fired. But more importantly, if I go in with that sort of attitude, like, I know more than they do, they're
No,
just
no,
gonna-
no, no. No, that's not what
you
I
will
mean.
never know more than they do.
No.
That's. Don't confuse that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what I've experienced is when you're talking about what AV needs are with networking, most network administrators, and I have one that I call on a lot. You all may or may not know him. His name's Paul Zealy. He's probably one of the most brilliant AV network guys out there that I know about. Anytime I have a problem, I call him, which is not often, but he solves it like that, right? So it's a matter of talking the talk and understanding how to communicate with those people. It's not about being smarter or knowing more than your network administrators. It's understanding that you need to know more about multicast and that uncompressed bandwidth because they don't deal with that a lot. They have way other different cores and other redundancies and different security problems that they're caring about. When you go to them with this multicast stuff, they're like, I don't care. Like, that's not important to me.
There's no.
And so you might have that relationship where they're not willing to help you out. So I know a few colleges, they've actually, I can't remember which one it was, but they manage their own campus-wide AV network themselves. They deploy all the switches, they configure all the switches. They don't have anybody in IT helping them. So Chris is proving my point that you need to be better at network administration than network admins.
So we have a bunch of managed network switches, a mix of Juniper and Netgear. I have more managed switches that my team builds a config, my team deploys it, my team manages and maintains them. I have more than networking. And when I mention that to them, they hate that. So that gets me a seat at the table, just as
And
an
he's
aside.
fully
So- and-
accountable.
And Jim,
when
I
there's
think,
a
Jim, you said
problem,
you guys
he
do
can
it too?
solve it.
Oh.
We like disagreements. It's
If
okay.
you're going to damage people with this, it needs sharper edges.
Well, sue Catchbox,
See
don't
what you
sue
can do
us.
next time. So I think it is less important to know the details of how networks operate and the specifics and the scary details than it is to know how to get along with the network team.
But that depends on your resources. What if you don't have a network team? What do you do? No, you don't.
You are screwed if you don't have a network team.
Well, going back to what Chris said,
Or you,
Chris doesn't have a network team.
or you
he is the
become your own network team. So we have,
Justin, I want to clarify. I deploy the managed switches in my classrooms. There's still a network team handling the network on campus.
it's just your network team.
Right.
Okay.
So it's just
network.
Do your switches plug into the network?
within the room, I have my own network that has a trunk
So-
line up to campus, but I'm not firing traffic across campus yet. So
Right.
So you don't have, it's not the network, it's a network.
it is the network. We have campus IP addresses. We have fully routable host names, all that stuff for all devices in the space. I'm just blocking traffic at the switch for now. So,
Okay.
if that clarifies.
So we have a full network team, enterprise network, and we have not a separate AV network. We run on a converged network, and we have to play nice. We have to play nice with the
Jamie's model.
IT guys.
Yeah.
And the first time I said, "Hey, can we get multicast across the network for this?" The lead network engineer said something to me that I can't repeat in mixed company. And he never uses language like that, but he did when I said the word multicast.
Was it as foreign as like the word yes?
He said
Yes.
yes.
And this
He said, "Yes, I'm going to grab you and haul you out back and do
And kind of-
unspeakable things to you if you ask for that again."
that's more of a common experience. Jamie has the opposite experience where they were like, "Bring it on." So this is my point: is everybody's experience is different with this. My point is, we all want to be better at our job. We all go through the training. You all are here for a reason. Think about networking as not this scary black hole. Embrace it. Learn about it. Retool yourself. Heck, you might be an IT employee in 5
know
years.
enough about it to know what to ask for.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that is the IT team, the network team, if they were not your people, need to understand enough about what you're doing with it. And you can tell them all day long what you want, and they're going to go, "Nah, you don't need that." What we did was we bought some AV over IP hardware, and we brought it in, and we went and set it up in their office. And said, "Here, plug this into your test switch. This is what this does. This is what we're going to do with it. It's a gigabit between devices." And
Works well too if you plug it in without telling them. Then you get
yeah, then you get
you'll
their,
make friends really
then
fast.
You do get
Just
their
plug it in.
attention.
You'll know who you need to talk to really fast. That's that time for that topic. If not, we're gonna have to.
That was
another
that was a
quarter in
lot.
Justin here.
That was a lot of conversation.
Yep. 16 seconds.
I am.
Larry's next. Ready?
Yeah. I get to talk the other side of the networking thing. No, not
that's me.
umbrellas.
You're ruining it.
What are you doing?
I'm clicking the clicker, which not clickering.
Zero trust in islands. I've
This is
had everything on the network. We were going down that route.
Latency.
The system got audited. And part of the auditing was we were moving to zero trust, and our distributed network architecture got yanked. So I can't have managed switches that are IT owned on the network anymore. And I certainly can't have managed switches with trunk lines back to the main thing. So I'm on little private islands again, like I was doing 10 years ago. But, I mean, really, I'm not losing that much from what everyone else has. I still have the monitoring, I still have all that. It just means boots on the ground to update stuff. But I think this is going to show up at more schools across the country, because unless you're working with Jamie or other people who are so integrated in the network team and have devices that comply with every security protocol that those network teams require, you're going to run into issues where they start pulling things off the network.
Who's already deploying zero trust networks? Or do you even know?
who's heard that term?
Yeah. I mean,
Who's
zero
heard
trust.
that
Who's
term?
heard that as a thing?
Because, all right.
Who's
who
had to
who
pull-
that doesn't work here has heard that term?
Who's had to pull stuff off the network because of zero trust?
Not yet?
I have.
So, yeah, one of the things here is like, looking forward to the next 5 years, what is going to impact us as AV nerds in higher education? And this is one of those things where like, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist until the day that it does. And it's usually like a Microsoft update.
Yeah.
You find out Tuesday night at 2 and,
Wednesday morning when I turn my laptop.
Wednesday morning, right? You just find out, oh my God, what is this?
There's no warning. The next day I had a meeting with my network and security team, and
So
we had
take-
to discuss what the future was.
So take a minute and kind of describe the zero trust thing in our terms. To Justin's point, speak like a network admin.
I can't do.
Basically, zero trust, this is a very stupid, simple explanation. Zero trust, basically, if the IT overlords doesn't see that widget doesn't fit on the network because of security issues, they're going to yank it off and turn the port off. Now, how many AV manufacturers do you know of that send weekly updates for their products? It's not going to happen, okay? So going back to my original discussion about
we go.
switches get
Here we
stitches.
go.
No, we're not
When
going
all
back
your
there.
stuff gets
And it
pulled off the
doesn't-
network, and you have to develop your own networks.
I can't develop my own network because I live on the East Coast where all the buildings are made out of asbestos.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't pull enough network cables to get lines back to the
So
network.
think about
closets.
all this as you're deploying these islands, or it's just a network. I don't need to know about that now. There'll be a,
How
there'll be a
many of you all
time.
right now do Dante on self-assigned, roll it out there, let it do its thing? Or quick button start island 192.169 thing? Are people out there doing that? Good. Really? Because that's how manufacturers will do it. Like they'll say, just start up, throw it out there and go. Right? And you'll end up creating these islands. Zero Trust will say, hey, that's your only option to make it work.
Yeah, I still do that. I'll be honest. I have a processor with a actual air gap, so I can still talk to everything on the inside, but none of my traffic, none of my media traffic ever touches our enterprise network anymore.
What we do is we actually deploy Cisco firewalls for every one of our AV systems, and
That you buy off eBay, right?
yep, and we're the ones who upload the text configuration to the firewall for each of our systems, so we can remotely manage them. So we are the IT network configuration people for AV. We were that wasn't our choice. We were forced into that because our network team doesn't know how to deal with multicast. So we were like, screw it, we're going to solve it ourselves. They know how to deal with it. They don't want to
They
deal
don't
with
want to
it.
deal with it. Yeah, it's not convenient. But that's the opportunity to have that conversation now
Yeah.
and go down that road.
But if you have that conversation, be prepared to be shut down and move to an island.
If you have to.
Yeah.
Oh,
if
got
you-
another.
Oh, no.
So Jim will get it.
So understanding that, we have a situation where we've had manufacturers AV gear on our campus for a long time. They're here, and it begins with a C. The network team used to call those devices broken devices, and they actually made a VLAN for us that was called the Broken Device Network because they did
Sounds
not like the way
legacy-
this stuff played on the network
Yeah.
ever. So we have a long history of having VLANs for all our AV. We just recently redid it, so we have a VLAN per building for AV, which is complicated, but the network team was willing to do that because we'd say, hey, we'll play by the rules, we're gonna put this stuff on, but it's VLAN'd off and it's protected from all the stuff you
See,
care
the
about.
next step to that, and this is where I would go with my team, is, oh, you're going to give us a VLAN per building. That's great. How about we own that network switch that it's talking to? So we own the configuration, so when something goes wrong, we don't have to call the network team and wait on them to solve the problem for class, right?
We build a classroom, we buy a network switch, but we buy it from the network team.
Yeah.
They configure it based on our needs and based on their network standard that we've developed. It's real close, but we don't have to mess with it. And the advantage to it, this is the big advantage, when they do a network equipment refresh in 6 years, they buy us a new switch. We don't have to buy it.
Just a
Switch
word
as
of
a
warning,
service.
Buy it
that
once.
is the exact model I was under. I had an AV VLAN. That AV VLAN hit my managed switch that they managed, that we purchased. and gave every device in my room control, that still came under zero trust, and that managed network switch, even though it was AV VLAN, had to get taken out.
Zero trust is also not just about security, it's also about not extending your network. So anytime you add a switch outside of your MDF or IDF,
Yep.
to network administrators, it's like an uncontrolled,
Yeah, physical access to that switch is a no-no.
it goes back to zero trust. So when zero trust hits your campus, you're gonna end up like Larry.
But we have also, I'm sorry, we're doing your stuff.
It's a rolling
In
blackout.
our new buildings, we have, our AV switches in the IDF. And we have our big C processors, and we have AV over IP endpoints where they're needed, outside of a classroom, sitting in the IDF.
You're one person away from quitting,
From quitting.
you owning that configuration.
Or
Yeah,
not.
I know, we're real close. But the thing is, there's a missing desire on our part to have anything to do with it.
I don't know if that ever plays into it, the desire or not. So, okay.
Good.
You good with that one?
I'm good with that one.
Yeah, any
It's a
other
scary place. I
objections?
don't want to be there.
Get a life raft and a boat to get through your
Yeah.
islands? Boots on the ground?
Boots on the ground, go update cameras.
What's next?
Blasphemy, hearsay, and heresy.
What?
Yeah, it's coming,
Wait for the clicker. It's got to charge up.
Oh, it's like 5-second delay.
I guess.
Something.
Lee, help me out.
Yeah. You just hit.
Maybe. There.
Ooh, there it is.
Bring
Okay.
an umbrella for the cloud.
Yeah,
I forgot what this is
restart this
about.
one.
I don't know what.
How do we restart this, Chris? Restart the timer. Okay. What in the hell do I mean by, if you're going to play it in the cloud, bring an umbrella? This is going to sound crazy to a lot of folks, but as I look forward at the kind of the landscape here, I believe we're going to see more devices that are not going to care about AV over IP. We're actually not going to move content around via switches and the like. Your endpoints themselves will actually have persistent connectivity to the cloud, and that content is going to originate from the cloud. So you're not going to move things around. You're going to actually have sessions that exist. Many of you may recognize this as Teams rooms, Zoom rooms, and I'm gonna puke a little bit in my mouth, I get it, and so it happens, right? And what does that mean? How does that change your version of AV on your campus, right? So you may see some out there. When you go to the bigger conferences, you're gonna see devices that have native embedded Z and T that'll do that thing to you. You're connecting to those. And then we're gonna see projectors that have embedded Teams and Zoom on them. So, and that becomes your platform right there. So your entire structure of your AV system collapses, right? Your thing, think about that, the simplification of that is as frightening as it may be. If the piece you need, your LMS is aligned, Teams is there, it's all in there, and your display itself attaches to it, needing to have all these stitches and switches, conversations, and pushing things around campus fall to the wayside. It then becomes about connectivity, raw connectivity to the cloud through your building and up and outbound, right? It is frightening, but I can see it. It's there. If you go talk to manufacturers, you'll see them. I've been interfaced and asked about that on specific displays. What does it mean? Would it be valuable to our organization? Would it simplify installation? It might. But now we're talking about being administrators of entire platforms for AV, right, in the embedded nature. But do I sound absolutely crazy? Do I sound terrifying, at least to somebody out there? Because I do to myself, yeah, and so.
It's adopted by zero trust.
It's
That's
adopted
the
by.
point.
It's actually forced by it.
When you see all these things, this is Zoom certified or Teams certified. There it is. It's now it's allowed to be in your tenant. It's allowed to communicate with your architecture. It's certified, and Microsoft's going to make sure you're up to date and safe so you can play on the island. Because we know how great that's going to roll out for everyone. But does that change the way you view how you look at your actual AV systems? If we're moving forward and we're spending a lot of time moving things around, but if at the end of the day our endpoints themselves are just cloud connected, do we still have to go and fight that battle through switches, through VLANs? And what does that actually seem like? I'm not saying this is tomorrow. You're not going to go out there and buy a display and say, I'm going to convert all my stuff. But I believe, in my opinion, in the next 5 years, we will see more classes actually moving in that direction. Christina, challenge me. Of the one person, please challenge me. Yes.
So with that, if it's the projector, it's running Teams, Microsoft outage, is class canceled? What happens to
Yeah,
enrollment?
because
What
we had a
happens to
Zoom
tuition?
outage with our Zoom rooms,
Yeah.
and we had a ton of phone calls. Well, actually, we didn't. You know why? Because it was
the
on the
phones went
news,
out
and
too.
everybody knew
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, yep,
I remember that. It was on the news, and we
Yeah.
didn't get any phone calls because Zoom. But yes, that you lose control of support going, that's
Well, I think it comes down to, we have to have that honest conversation. Is technology a prerequisite to teaching and learning? Yes or no?
exactly.
Are we asking that question first? Are the work we're doing in a classroom, must this be there to have a class?
I think in the scenario you're talking about,
Hey, you need a mic.
It very well may be, right? And so now we all must play better together and have a really solid understanding of what that looks like. And so I'm not saying I want to see that, but it's a frightening vision that I do see on the horizon with leading manufacturers at the seat in the table that they're having conversations. And they will use things like, how about some zero trust? How about not needing to do switches? How about not needing all that? You just put this thing online, get it outbound, connect to our cloud. Automatic updates, we're going to take care of it for you. And to leadership, that's going to sound real attractive, right? I mean, I can just get this display, and it's going to do all that stuff for me. It's going to stitch to the cloud piece, and it's going to be in my tenant, and my IT guy can manage it all. Why do I need AV? Right? And it should make you feel a little bit nervous. And so that's my bad prognostication of the future, but it scares me, and I hope it scares all of you as well.
There's going to be a few hurdles before that happens. For instance, outbound and inbound bandwidth for your campus, that's going to be a hurdle, right? Because, the scale
minimal.
of that,
It's minimal, though. Think about how much bandwidth you need for YouTube.
yeah.
well,
Right.
it just depends on what you're doing.
Right.
For example, right now we are, and I don't think this is in the cloud, all of our computers in the classrooms are going to more of like a dummy terminal. So even if it's AutoCAD that you're teaching, you log in, it's attached to your profile, that computer then has AutoCAD. If you don't need AutoCAD, it doesn't show up. So it's starting to get a little bit decentralized, or yeah, more centralized, right? So once that content on that server with the software, this is just software, right, goes to the cloud, because we all started with email servers on campus, and then we realized that went to the cloud because it was cheaper. So if you think of that, you're like, okay, well, if you start seeing your LMS directly pairing with a Teams or Zoom room, it's like a warning flag. It's like you should probably quit your job.
And
Your
your
Microsoft-
LMS over there, have you seen some Teams and Zoom encroachment into the LMS domain?
And Microsoft actually owns one too.
Right? And so the groundwork's there. The partnerships between all these organizations, they're having those conversations right now. Right? And so and to folks making dollars and cents decisions, this is going to look really attractive because it flattens out everything. It's just, connectivity, boom, go. Right? Until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then we have that question, the projector's down. Or Zoom has they're here now and they can't get on the network. And they're asking me if I have control.
I would also say that from the learning management standpoint, what Microsoft wants to do and what they consider teaching and learning is frightening as hell. So on my side of the house,
Why don't you
I
take
know
all
you-
the money in that thing? Just take it all.
You can have it all.
You just have all the money for that comment.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I think in those conversations we're not even in those conversations when they happen, right? It just happens.
How does this happen? Because Mark's going through it right now, as you can tell. We all need to help Mark mentally.
Well,
But
we're in.
how does this happen?
I'm all in on Teams. I'm trying my damnedest to make
So you'll get a new CIO or a new boss, and then maybe they have relationships with a Microsoft
maybe. Anybody.
person. Maybe they're a cousin, and like, hey, we're just going to buy 500 licenses today.
Could happen. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Could be
And then
Zoom.
there you're
Could be
forced
Google.
into dealing with it.
Especially if you're in the Northwest, in the Redmond
If you're in
sphere of
Redmond,
influence.
be real careful.
Yeah. So we have a lot of Zoom rooms on campus, so I don't know what's going to happen to us. We'll find
Life's
out.
going to be made easier.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I see more connectivity for that kind of stuff. It will be more wireless. You're going to make your kind of connections that way, and as long as you can get on the cloud, and you have that connectivity to that cloud island or whatever that may be, you're off to the races. You know, as long as everything's online. In some instances, does that change how the meeting in classroom actually takes place? Do we even need to be in the room? Does it make it easier for dispersed education? Right? If everybody's just doing that, we're not trying to move things around here and then move it up to a system somewhere else. It's just in the cloud, connect where you are, right? And so, good.
But then what happens to your network when all the students are expected to have a device on the Wi-Fi network in the classroom while it's on the projector? So is that another switch? I don't know.
It sounds like a network issue.
That's a networking problem. We actually have 3 wireless networks on campus. So it depends, which do not talk to our wired network for security reasons. So it's like 3 isolated islands. So depending on which student connects to which wireless network, that team's network could be a completely different subnet or different network altogether.
And you had the asbestos?
Yeah.
We all
gets
have
to pull-
asbestos. Yeah.
Who gets to pull those?
I usually outsource that.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a specialized contractor that does those things.
Okay.
All right.
And just to kind of add on that, the support structure of that's interesting too, because now we're not supporting AV, we're supporting all the students' different devices, unless the school provides that as part of the technology fee.
You are, Todd.
I might not be, but somebody is, and that's concerning to me because that takes longer to support.
Yeah. Have you done the update this week?
Yeah, exactly.
It's more of like device and fleet management and like how that actually plays into what we do as a service. It's Brave New World. So.
What happens if you have like 5 different cloud providers at one campus, and one of them's having a problem, and the other one is trying to get rid of it because they're legacy?
Yeah, at the end of the day, Gabe, these are the new realm of AV problems we're going to have, right? Our cloud becomes our AV problem, right? And so, what does that mean from a training, retooling, skill set opportunity, being able to actually navigate that?
Sounds like you need to know about networking.
You need to know cloud. All right,
I'm just saying.
Chris, you are up. The timer has come to the end.
All right, I'm gonna click this, 14 seconds, we'll see the.
You clicking that just makes Lee see it, and he just moves
Yeah,
it forward.
it's just buzzing him
It
actually.
went too far. There we go. Look at that, goofed. All right. It. How many, poll the audience here, how many in your AV-ish, e-learning-ish groups are part of the IT structure? You are no fooling part of IT, everybody is part of IT. Well, almost everybody, okay. So when I say IT here, and this is an interesting terminology thing, we often talk about IT and AV and all this stuff. We usually mean networking and AV, or in this case, IT, I'm going to be brutally honest, I mean the PC guys, the PC team, the PC deployment people. They are going to eat the AV, it's Todd. They're going to eat our lunch, and here's why. Because there's enough, good enough stuff out there that is inexpensive. It is easy. It is USB based. I can plug these things in on and you've all found them on your campus, the consumer televisions that showed up from somewhere and some mystery like all-in-wonder device. These are going to show up faster than you expect. And I'll tell you how. You're not going to know about it. They're not going to come to you and say, where's Mike back there? They're going to say, Mike, we need a bunch of rooms, and Mike says, my team will design these rooms. They're just going to go buy stuff from Amazon, from CDW, from B&H, from all these places, but they're buying the wrong stuff, and they're just putting it in spaces. And then they're going to call in about a month and be like, we're having trouble with a space. Also, we have 100 of them now that you didn't know about. This is going to happen. Whether or not you are aware of it or even want it to happen, let me confirm here. I don't have proof. I have proof of everything. Anyway, I just want to make sure I can see the notes. There's notes. To our last conversation, this is going to happen and it's not malicious, it's not aggressive, it's not any sort of infighting or whatever, it's usually because it's cheaper on paper. It's usually because it's part of some sort of long-term service contract. It's usually because it comes with something else, it includes things, whatever. And I'm not saying these are necessarily bad products for the right environment, but what's going to happen is they're going to show up in the wrong environment. It works at home, why doesn't it work here? Exactly, perfect example. Yeah. So you're going to find the the sound bars in a, let's say, a lecture hall size space. A room like this, there'll be a sound bar and a television here, and they'll say, see, done. Does it show picture? Does it make sound? Can I hear people? Technically, yes, across all three of those is the job done, and there's a little PC there and whatever, and so it's going to be an issue. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just something we need to be involved in. The fundamental thing is we as, I'll just be honest here, AV, we need to stop living in layer one and focusing all our efforts on what sort of cabling we're pulling and how things connect, all the physical connections that we love to do. We love to climb ladders and stand above ceilings and sit there and solder and wire and make terminations and all that.
I don't like to climb ladders.
Todd loves it, he just said it. Whereas I can go buy a kit that comes with all those, we've seen them, the cables that are already pre-terminated, they're already prescribed lengths. That's easy. I can hand that off to an outside contractor or hand it off to our local printer slash PC slash laptop slash library check-in person slash whatever they're doing that day and have them do it, and it works-ish enough that this is great. We don't have to call the AV people, and we can just do this in-house, and it's going to happen. If you haven't run this already, it already will. And where it's going to start are those groups on campus that have their own like little IT teams that you're not maybe even aware of what they're doing over there. Go make friends with them and get them on your good side. The real scary part is when you find, to the last comment, new leadership comes in and they want to make a splash, or maybe there's something they've dealt with before, and they buy 100 of these things, and suddenly the entire business school has these everywhere, and you didn't know anything about it. It will happen. So has anyone experienced this yet? Stuff showing up you didn't do, and then do they call you to come by and like, we're having trouble with it, can you make this work?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
They
I've
don't call
seen
us.
more this year with the end-of-life funds than I've ever seen before. And it's all stuff that should have been routed through me. It was like smart boards and things like that. And then within 2 weeks of them being installed, they're like, I can't get anything to work on this. It's like, yeah, it's not supported here.
Or the devices where they don't think about all the necessary infrastructure, power requirements, element size, display distance, microphone pickups, all that stuff. It works fine enough for testing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just put it on the guest Wi-Fi and, hey, let's hook on the network. And then
Yeah.
3 or 4 days later, it falls off the Wi-Fi, and now they have a network problem, but it's your stuff, and how do we make this work? Yeah, this is going to happen. So I know I'm getting a lot of skunk eyes from people out there. It's going to happen.
So-
and like I said, you will not be aware of it until you get a call that this thing they bought 2 months ago you didn't know about isn't working.
This actually happened to us probably about 8 to 10 years ago. The CITL group on campus went out and bought a bunch of interactive 55-inch displays and put them on stands. And they're the ones teaching the teachers how to teach, right? They're the ones in front of the teachers showing them what to do. So they deployed these in random classrooms across campus. And you walk in to do a needs analysis to figure out, hey, we want to attach our new TV to the projection system. You're like, what are they talking about? You walk in, you're like, holy crap, what is this? And then you find out all the stuff that Chris just talked about. And you're like, oh my God. So now, you know that happened once, and you're like, how many TVs did they buy? I mean, now you have 50 more problems and 50 more conversations to talk about with teachers about how this is not the right solution for your 50-foot deep room, et cetera, et cetera.
And a related scenario where this will happen is they will call you and say, hey, we need help with our new whatever building. We've got this new plan or whatever. And then anyone heard this one? And we've already bought some of the stuff. So now they kind of want you to take things that they've ordered. We got this great deal on Amazon on these all-in-one camera bar, whatever. Use these, and it wasn't part of your plan. It's not something you can support. It's not part of your common kit of parts. It's not something that fits in your support structure. It doesn't maintain any sort of security, and it's a USB device. You plug it in. Oh, but it requires software to be installed, and that software has to get up. It becomes a whole thing because it wasn't necessarily properly vetted. So just this is, again, 5 years out, but it's going to happen. Now, the positive side of this is those devices are getting better, and that's why they're more attractive from strictly from an on-paper, from a purchase standpoint, that sort of thing. Hey, I can do the same sort of thing that used to cost me $30,000. This says I can do it for $3,000. I'm going to buy a bunch of these. So there's just some pros and cons there. It is more cost effective, but is it the right solution for every space? No, but it will end up in every space. So if you are on a campus that is a little siloed, and there's groups outside of your purview or groups you don't necessarily work with very often, or maybe you see them once a month or something like that, maintain those lines of communication so they give you a heads up when they're like, hey, we ordered a bunch of stuff, can you help with it? You're like, whoa, 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 let's have a conversation before that stuff shows up on a loading dock, or worse, before it gets installed by an outside integration firm that you weren't aware of, and then they ask you for help, which happened on my campus. There's a group over in the biological sciences group that went out on their own. They hired an integrator. They didn't even tell facilities, and they did this like on a weekend and came in, and that was a whole to-do. But the good thing is everybody was kind of universally like, no, this is not gonna fly. But that's just that's a tiny little microcosm of an example of the sort of things where this is going to happen. So just FYI, be aware. Also, stop focusing so much of our attention. We all need to do this on like PTZ presets or DSP blocks, or like, we need to look a little more holistically and make sure we're just kind of aware of what's going on out there. So anyway, all right, comment, Larry, right in front of you.
Two comments.
So you just sort of said it. What's your ability to say, no, that's not our area, we didn't buy that, you didn't communicate with us, good luck with that, talk to the vendor?
It's going to depend on your campus culture. If you can, make friends with your procurement office and see if they can give you a heads up when people buy like conference and presentation related technologies. It doesn't always happen, especially if you're one of those campuses where people have kind of like an unlimited, procurement card. And as long as it's under a certain threshold from an approved vendor, they can basically buy whatever they want. And you don't know what it is until it shows up and they need help with it. So yeah, it's going to be it for everybody, but Mike.
Yeah, so I love what you said, it's good enough, right? Because we have a whole generation where good enough is a 6-inch TV, right? They've watched tons of content on their phone, on their iPad, and that's good enough for them. Mm-hmm. And so just be aware that that's the students that we're working with now.
So coming from having a foot in both worlds, I owned an IT company and I owned an AV company. I learned that the only one thing that these two have in common is they both run on electricity, and everything else is different. I made the mistake of trying to have my IT techs help with the AV and vice versa. That didn't work at all. And everybody in this room is shaking their head, yes, why wouldn't you have known this? Because I came from the IT world, that's why. And I can tell you, and I worked at the University of Montana for 10 years too. So I have I was actually the director of academic information technology. So I had to bridge both of those gaps. The IT side doesn't want to deal with this stuff. No, you're right. They don't. This is being forced upon them. And I would encourage the dialogue between those two sides, and both sides, we're all nerds, right? And communication's not normally our better thing. Finding that balance, I think, is what I found in my organization was super helpful. Yeah.
No, that's an excellent comment, and I'll just say from my experience, a couple of years ago when I arrived at the University of Wyoming, there was a team down the hall who's the academic support group, but they handle the PC deployments, the labs, that sort of thing. They were doing digital signage, which means they were installing digital signage. So to your point, they didn't really want to do it. It just kind of fell to them, like, hey, I don't know, you guys figure it out. It's a big old TV, go stick it on the wall. And we have had some of these fall off the wall because they were sheetrock anchors and whatever, and it says this thing does 250 pounds because that's what that means, and they put 4 of them in and hang a TV and away they go. And yes, it's one of those things where they were happy to hand that off from hey, we know how to do this, we can do this, but it's still a partnership. So yes, I've been working very hard to build that partnership, and with not just them, with the other IT groups on campus, so when they do some of this, we get a heads up. For example, in our College of Engineering, hey, we found, and they straight up called me, we found this thing on Amazon. It's a big interactive display. It's plenty big enough. It's like 55 inches. It's got a built-in camera. It's got a built-in microphone. We can wirelessly cast to it. And I'm like, these things are like red flags going off. I'm like, how? And it comes on a cart so we can move it between buildings. I'm just like, and I finally told them to the comment about support was like, you can buy whatever you want. Do not ever call my team. And if you do, we are not helping you with that. And they opted to not, because of that, they opted to not buy that. And they said, well, can you help us find something simple? Yes, I can. I can help you find a similar solution that actually doesn't cost all that much more, but you can call us all the time and we'll come over and help you with it. So it's kind of making sure you know those relationships and all that. So.
Oh, I'll jump in. Don't mind me, I'll just jump right in. Hey, segue in tomorrow, earning a value seat at the table. You talked about this. If I can give some advice when you work with other departments and so forth is get out of the ownership. Stop with the mine, ours. It's the universities. You're in their best interest. So I do my best when I work with other groups is to not to try to take ownership. I'll take responsibility, but not the ownership. If you let them know that they are still the true owners, people are going to make wrong decisions. They're going to buy weird things from time to time, but getting that seat at the table is to look at it as a partnership. I have no ownership in the university. Everyone says, oh, you do great things. I don't do great things. The team does great things. So just a recommendation, but working on that collaboration with other teams, that's the key. Jamie, there's no money in here. Ooh.
This is not my problem.
Yeah.
I'm reloading.
All right, Jamie, up to you.
Now it's my problem. I'm going to buy support. We had a bet going into this. Who'd get the most support? Who wants support? You want support? Who wants support? You want some? Oh, come on. Come on, who wants it? Not Mike. Mike's no. Oh, here we Oh, yeah. Hey, it's $50, folks. $50. Not one of them $1 deals, yeah? Yeah, but you have to talk.
Yes, yes.
You have to participate, yeah? You already did. Oh, you have to participate. All right, so. A voix, a VoIP, a VoIP, AV over IP. In 5 years, my dream is universal. Damn it! Okay, try again. AV over PHY, AV over IP. In 5 years, we'll be talking about I can buy anything from that guy. This guy up here that left earlier, David, he shouldn't have left.
He was mad.
Yeah, he didn't stick around long enough, right? How many things? If you went out here and you bought an audio product, will it talk to everybody else's in 5 years? Audio. In audio, will it talk to everybody else's? We have 2 manufacturers out here. If I went to one that happens to be over there and went to the other one, happens to be in the hallway.
In 5 years, I think your odds are really good on the audience.
Okay, video. I won't even. Video. 5 years. Will they talk to each other? Right? Who's using AV over IP? Okay. Even a little bit? Right? Who's using YouTube? Damn it, Mark might be right. Go to the cloud. Right? It's really frustrating because unlike everybody else, I have actually tried and am attempting to put everything that I buy on the enterprise network. Everything. You want Dante? Boom, do it. You want visionary solutions? Boom, do it. QSC, throw it on there. Whatever. I'm really lucky. I have an IT group that works very well with me, and my dream would be is that everything can, and I can go out there and I said a whole bunch of manufacturers, they all talk together. They don't. Anybody think it's really going to happen? It's not. But where is the money in it? Yeah, but what do they always tell us?
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Just keep buying this first, and we'll get you there.
It's coming, right?
This new standard is going to be universal.
The future is one
There may
firmware
be an
update
audio
away.
manufacturer out here that does now have a video codec. Oh, it's just going to be awesome.
Or 3.
You're just going to plug in your camera, and then you're going to plug in your projector, and whoop, I'm pretty. It's a dream, right? For all of us end users, wouldn't it be great to have this agnostic infrastructure that we could do what we wanted? I'm going to retire. I'm not even that old.
Can I interest you in Teams?
I know. It really made me sick because Mark looked at my topic and he goes, "You're going to make me look smart." Now,
with the fact that, I would say that Mark's nightmare is going to become more true than Jamie's dream.
it is.
Quicker.
It is.
And that's going to take a while to happen. And you're right, that's never good. So the cloud's going to take over before there's a unified standard for transport that we're used to, right?
Yeah. And we have this group of nerds up here. Dang it, I agreed with you. This group of nerds up here, we've been asked to go visit with other manufacturers, some of them here, some of them not, and we've talked about this. And one of the things we bring up is who's involved with broadcast. Anybody? Broadcast? Right? Right? Mark,
Yes.
when you fire up Pac-12 Network over here,
Pac-2, yeah.
whatever. Okay, when you and that other team have your best of 16 series throughout the season, unless it's baseball, and then
Yeah, we're
it's
taking
basically a doubleheader every day for 40 days in a row. Could you get away with sending them something weird? Could you get away with sending them a PAL signal instead of,
No, they're going to hate it.
right? What's ESPN require?
Either a whole truck rolls in or it goes over a fiber optic network with an encoder that they want to have. Or
Yeah.
decoder.
And the point being is that what sucks here is that in broadcast industry, there are the standards, right? And everybody basically has to, every one of your TVs that has an ATSC tuner, everybody has to put it out the same way. Every single person. The infrastructure's there, SMPTE 2110, it's sitting there, right? A lot of the SMPTEs, the AES codes, they're all sitting there. We can't even get AES 67 correct. And it makes me so angry. But my point being is that as much as I'd love to do it, whenever you talk to these folks, bring it up. Because it is frustrating and it does make our job a lot harder, but it also brings up to the cloud. It also brings up we'll just use Microsoft. You know why? Because Microsoft, you push it in, push it out, except that they cancel your certification, then you got to go replace all your speakers because they care about your 70-volt system.
Got to be certified.
Got to be certified.
See that data.
Which unfortunately happens as well. So push for that, look for that, and see if we can't make any headway into that, because it might help bring price down, it might help bring stability, it might help bring introducing it onto the network. It helps with all of that, but unfortunately, we're not there yet, as much as I want to be.
And it locks us into ecosystems.
Locks us into ecosystems. Close us out.
Well, I was going to make a comment on that. So a good parallel to the last comment here, or last discussion here about AV over IP is HD-based T. HD-based T is universal, correct? It works on all sorts of devices, right? Yes? Yeah, hold on.
He's getting there.
Yes, so it works on a bunch of different manufacturer A, B, plug them in, they work, right? Does every feature work with every device? Does anyone know what it's called? Come on, somebody's out there.
5-play.
5-play? HD-based T, look it up. 5-play, audio, video, control, Ethernet, is it LAN, networking, and then? No, because that's POH, so it's a second.
Well,
Anyway, there's actually 6 because it's IR and bidirectional control, 232, et cetera. Anyway, not every device supports every feature of HD-based T. For the most part, they all support audio and video, though some don't even support audio, which is interesting. If there is a magical universal, everyone got locked into a room and we didn't let them out until they came up with a end-to-end glass-to-glass supported AV over IP transport, 100% guaranteed, not every manufacturer is going to support every feature. You'll find, the Trons of the world saying, well, okay, we'll do that, but we're not doing this part of it. And you're like, why not? Well, because they all have, everybody makes their own. Where's what we said earlier, where's the market in that? I can sell you my boxes. Why are you going to go buy somebody else's stuff? So just keep that in mind. The optimism of we will all agree on a standard will still get hamstrung by I'll support part of it, but not this. Or Jason, your comment, I'll support this, but I'm not supporting power over that. It's something like that. It'll be a mess. So, yeah, enjoy the next 5 years of still doing the same thing we're doing now. Yeah. All right, last one, Justin, it's you.
It's a 2 o'clock session, right?
Talk fast.
It'll be quick. Skilled labor will become increasingly scarce. So I've experienced this recently. A lot, like you call integrators, you call anybody, you can get stuff designed, you can get support, you can get some troubleshooting. As long as like over the phone and laptops are in use, that's no problem. But how hard is it to get somebody to bang out 30 TVs, right? How hard is it to get somebody to build out 15 racks? Like, oh, well, we don't really have the resources. I own a business, integration business. I've had to hire various types of people between police officers and landscapers and all kinds of people. And anybody can be trained. So what I'm saying to this is, don't necessarily look for AV people to do AV work. You can train people to do basic installation and then grow your knowledge labor. Because getting people to do physical things and physical installs, I guarantee you it's going to be harder to get your integrator to do that than to get them to do a consultation design for you. Because they're design heavy and they're manager heavy right now. It's going to happen. I charge $400 for every TV that we hang, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's so expensive. It's like, okay, go find somebody else to do it then. They always come back, like, yeah, $400. And it's just literally hanging a TV right here in a classroom for K through 12.
Just a bunch of sheetrock anchors.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Velcro.
And with a sound bar that you got on CDW.
So that's it.
Okay.
That was a real quick one. Just be careful with knowledge labor, manual labor. Manual labor is going to get really, really expensive, more than it is today.
So that's it. I know people have to get up and move. Do have a QR code here if you want to scan, and this just goes to the website. So if you want to hear more of this sort of nonsense, you're not subscribed to us already, we do a almost weekly podcast with the same people talking about these sorts of topics, and we'd love to hear from you. So thanks very much.